This tree has been telling me for a while that it's ready to be repotted, and I don't want to miss the window. And to my understanding, when you're determining whether a tree is ready for a repot, you essentially want it to look something like this, where, as you can see, the buds are swelling. They look like they're starting to shoot, but the tree hasn't actually what I would call kind of leafed out yet. So you can't actually see any leaves on this tree. And I'm gonna probably do a bit of root pruning. I'm gonna investigate it. I'm gonna see what it looks like. But judging by the base here, there's definitely a bit of taper that's appeared over the winter, and that also tells me this tree is doing pretty well. That the roots have probably had some ramification, and that's causing the base of the trunk to swell. Now, I do want to repot pretty much all the trees in that cold frame because this soil, I did put a little mulch layer on there, but this soil is substandard. It's what I would call my low grade. It's something I came up with when I was still reworking my soil mixes. And today I will be putting it into my mid grade. This tree is going to have a drainage layer at the bottom, which I've kind of gotten out of these days. What I find about the drainage layer is that it actually keeps most of your roots above that. So if you want to shorten the pot at all, this is HPB, high performance bedding. It's actually limestone, and it's adding alkalinity into my soil, which I didn't realize at the time. Should have. Not ideal, but obviously you see it has sort of worked, right? Didn't kill the tree. They are a bit frozen here. Shit. Nonetheless, I don't want to miss my opportunity to repot this little tree, because I am not confident with this soil, as I've already said. But shake is definitely the way to go most of the time, especially if you're buying garden center trees. But I need to take away some of that weight before I actually got to doing that. And as you can see, I am going for a bare root, and I do want to see what I'm dealing with here. And this young little tree has had root work done in the past. Looks like it really helped. So I'll get a better look in a second. I'm not going to wash these roots. I'm going to get what I can out. And beyond that, I mean, what comes out, comes out. So I can actually see what's going on, and hopefully you can too. I know my camera isn't the greatest, but if you look under here, definitely a pretty significant root coming out this way, but it's, careful that bud there, Corey, fuck man. So, as you can see, it really doesn't have any downward growing roots. These are all pretty radial, and I have done root work in the past. So, I mean, this tree's only a year old, and I've done root work on it maybe twice already, so this will be the third time. That's a lot, right? Like, I mean, this is a very strong species. They can handle a lot. Again, like this tree has already handled a lot this year. I got a couple roots that are a little bit higher up, probably because of that mulch layer. Tree probably could have done with another, I don't know, a couple of years maybe, even in this pot. Immediately, what I see is, I don't really see any new growing tips, which maybe means I could have waited a bit longer. But what I see here, even though this root is getting kind of significant, oh, actually, there it is. So it curls around, it comes around, and it goes into the middle, which is now starting to go down. I do want to have a couple stronger roots on this, just because I'm thinking maybe I might turn this one into a raised kind of root style eventually. Nagari, I believe they call it. But yeah, this tap root, if you will, I don't believe it's actually a tap root, but it looks like the starting root splits off in multiple directions. I'm just going to shorten those back a bit. There's nothing really growing from the bottom. Nothing too concerning. I mean, there's a couple little things. I'm going to get rid of those. I'm going to shorten everything a bit. Essentially, I want it to fit in this pot. So I'm going to put it in the same size pot, but all of this excess, I'm not going to bury them. I'm just going to trim them off, and hopefully that will tell the tree that, hey, look, maybe grow a few more roots. If I look in here, I know this is kind of invasive, but again, this is a strong species. I have like 3 different roots coming out here. I don't need all 3, so I should probably pick one. And since I am pretty confident this is a strong growing tree, I'm actually going to try and pull apart these roots a bit, even if I tear off a few of them. I'm going to comb them out. And I'm going to see where I can either shorten or remove some of these bigger ones, but I do want to keep a few of them. I do want some bigger roots, so eventually this thing can show its roots, right? But they're not developed enough. Okay. Now we see what's going on. Usually disinfect my tools. like it or not, and I'd rather not, you know. It's just some isopropanol, some rubbing alcohol, and a paper towel with an edge on them. Not overly sharp, but for anything those can't handle, I also got my Fisker brand, you want to call them. So immediately, if you look here, this guy's coming directly underneath. He's going that way. He's going across the whole kind of trunk. So he's kind of a thick guy, but not too bad. I would love to recycle some of this soil, but it's not my best mix. So I'm just going to get rid of it. Blindly trimming off these substantial masses of root. I'm actually kind of looking to see which ones come out radially from the trunk, and it's just right here. I got 3 of them, so I'm actually cutting back to a side root where it goes in the direction that I already want, whether it be off to the left, right, I don't really care because I'm getting rid of some of this. But this guy kind of immediately curls, and good thing I checked, because that wasn't a side root, that was a separate root entirely. Backward cut. Looks like this is actually a side root from that main one. So I'm actually just going to remove a portion of that main. And where they start kind of going down, and there's a viable side root. You cut them on an angle. What that's going to do is the open cut is going to be pointing down, and the middle of that root is actually going to be deadwood, and the outer layer is sort of like a bark. Beyond that, you're looking for the cambium, and the cambium is the living tissue, and that's where the roots are going to come out. So by actually cutting it on a horizontal angle, it allows those roots to kind of already be pointing in that direction, whereas if I were to cut it straight, those roots might come up. Instead, I kind of want them to come out somewhere on this plane underneath, rather than this plane where it can shoot up or down or wherever. These are all pretty good roots. I mean, I'm just kind of getting rid of some of this mass. I'm being a little bit conservative because I haven't quite picked all my roots yet, But beyond that, I mean, that should fit nicely in this pot. There's a few things, I mean, like anything kind of growing, if you will, kind of underneath, sort of getting rid of. But then again, let me just point out that you don't have to, because what happens is if you plane them out on a little mound so that they're going in the direction that you want, they will actually start to lignify and harden into that position. So like you can actually wire out the roots just as you do the branches, but I'm still picking and choosing. Like for example, this guy here, he's coming out this way, but he's underneath and he almost wants to go that way. So I mean, I'm just gonna get rid of that. I want to keep the base of this tree, the very base, somewhat clean. I want to leave enough that's going to allow this tree to kind of buff out a little bit more surface roots here. So essentially I'm trying to fix some of that dead space. Here, but if you notice, I also have a kind of blind spot here. There's nothing coming out of, and this is sort of encroaching on that area. So I mean, it does taper out this way as well, where that way is kind of already filled out. So there is a sort of substantial amount of roots there. However, I still think this tree has enough to keep on going, and a little bit of space to fill out here, maybe that tree will pop something out. You never know. I mean, I'm pretty happy with that. I could spend a little bit more time with it, but it's still in the development stage. As you can see, I did get rid of most of that soil. The rest of it I'm not so worried about. I mean, it will find its way out during watering, or it will amend the new soil with maybe, hopefully, some beneficial bacteria, if there is any. We'll see. But other than that, I think, like, as long as you get rid of the stuff that's going to clump up on you, so you can start fresh. Like, to my understanding, roots don't like growing from one medium into the other. Like, if I can use that as an example with a drainage layer, you have all these roots that are full, and then you had just a few that were kind of poking into that drainage layer. And that's sort of what will happen if you leave the old soil in and then put it into a new substrate with that ball still attached. And that's why I kind of teased all these roots out. And I even combed them out. That was something else too, so I did kind of comb them out and get rid of anything that was sort of sticking together. Right? Just like pruning the top of the tree, I am kind of doing the same to the roots, right? When I prune a tree, I like to allow airflow and light to permeate into the rest of the canopy. If you have everything up here blocking everything down here, then all this is going to die. And I look at the roots kind of the same way. there's too many roots going on, they're going to hinder your drainage, and it's not going to be as aerated. So you kind of pick your primaries, if you will, and allow those to branch out or start something else from the trunk. Right. Not perfect, but I mean, I'm pretty happy with the results on that, and it does stand up on its own too. Check that out. Actually, it's probably a better color contrast. You can see what's going on a bit more. So essentially, when I plant this up, you know, I'm going to try and get these all pointing away from the trunk, if you will. Right, I do have a bit of a blind spot here. I might actually get rid of this because I don't want this to fill up that section. I want this root to fill up that section. I want something else to come in here. So I'm going to try and keep that spot nice and open for the new roots that are hopefully coming on in. And again, I'm confident this is going to live, but you never know. This is the new soil. Here's the old soil. Looks very much the same. Same size pot, just using a clean one. Do want this planted somewhat high, but at the same time, not too high. I like the way these roots look, and definitely in the future I want these roots to be showing, but for now, I'm going to leave them buried. So that they can actually develop a little bit more. I still want some roots growing out of the trunk, and for that to happen, it's suggested to bury them first for one species, and I don't like to blindly follow anybody, but there's definitely a lot of good advice out there. But, I mean, just getting started out, it's not rocket science. Potting angle, definitely something to consider. For now, I'm going off the roots, right? I'm allowing those roots to kind of pick their plane. Once I get the roots in order, I mean, who knows? I might even cut it back to here in the future. For now, I am looking for as much growth as I can, so I'm just going to leave the tree doing its thing with all of its strength, and I'll just work on the roots right now. When this canopy does flush out, I'm definitely gonna go in there. I'm gonna, defoliate. I'm gonna get rid of the leaves that are blocking the lower trunk. I definitely want a thicker branch down low. That way maybe that can take over as the apex eventually. Time to finish this up. Right now, I'm just kind of giving it a little bit of a tamp. I'm allowing the vibration to settle all that soil in between the roots. You don't want any air pockets. With this, it's less important. It's a generic soil medium. So, I mean, the water is going to help it move in. But with this stuff, a couple taps generally suffice. And before this tree really gets, I'm not actually pressing down too much, I'm just giving it a little bit of a compaction, just to give it a little bit of shape. I do expect this soil to drop a bit. I did run out. I'm probably going to top it up. Okay. Now it's just a matter of watering this thing. So. Especially with the first water, you know, really water your tree in. A lot of water, well draining soil mix. I want to get this kind of right back outside, but before I do, I just want to make sure that it's well watered, fully watered in, and for that to happen, I'm probably going to leave it here for another, 5-15 minutes, something like that, and come back, hit it again with the water. We'll see how this settles. And while this soil is kind of compacting, if you will, it will compact. It's an organic, mostly organic mix. I do expect some of the fines to run out the bottom, and it will drop a bit in height, so I might need to top it up a bit. We'll see. Beyond that though, I mean, it looks like everything went pretty well. And I think this tree is going to do a lot better in this mix versus the last one. And essentially, you can kind of tell when you've watered it enough, as that water leaking out might run a bit clearer. And it's not always going to drain this well. I mean, right now it's almost instantaneous. It will slow down a bit, but it still drains much better than